Well, hello, family. Good day and welcome. Welcome to yet another episode of the 21st Century Business Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking on a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking on the topic of can we all be entrepreneurs? It's something that I've heard, a lot of debates around the topic. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and everybody has got their own opinions on it. If whether we can all be entrepreneurs or not. So, I'm just going to be sharing my take on it. So I think the first thing that we and this is something that I actually cover in my book, The 21st Century Business Model. One of the first things that I want us to have a look at is maybe what is an entrepreneur. I think that will help us a lot understanding what is an entrepreneur. And according to the dictionary, an entrepreneur is actually somebody who's willing to take a financial risk with the hope of earning a reward, of earning a profit. Now, based on that particular definition, this means almost anybody and everybody can be an entrepreneur. So let me explain. So my grandmother used to go to the fresh produce market and buy some fruits and veggies. She will take this home where we had what we call a stand, right? It was like a stall of some sort where she would then, add markup on whatever she has bought from the fresh produce market. And she will then on-sell these, to the people that are walking into the shop, because we were staying right opposite a shop. But the shop wasn't selling fruits and veggies. So which was, quite a good mix. So now let's have a look at that. She did take the risk of taking her own money to go to the fresh produce market to buy the fruits and veggies and to then on-sell these. There was no guarantee whatsoever that everybody's going to buy this, she's going to make money and so forth. That's a risk she took. But in today's generation, when people do something like that, we don't really look at them as entrepreneurs. I think we more of look at people like your Elon Musk, your DJ Smoo, your Vusitembe Guayos as those guys as entrepreneurs because they're operating on a certain level. But on a very, very basic level, anybody who takes, if you look at the guys who are selling at the robots, right? They have to buy those things, whether they buy it from Chinatown and have to sell it at a profit. Those are entrepreneurs, right? Now that we understand what an entrepreneur is, right? Let's have a look at, I think one of the reasons even before we get into can you all be entrepreneurs, I think one of the most important questions we have to answer is, do we really have a choice? Sometimes the illusion that we've got a choice can make us think that, it's either this or that, okay? If you look at most African countries where, the job situation, the economies are not that industrialized. So as a result, people are forced to be entrepreneurs, right? They are forced to grow something from their own gardens and then go and sell that. They are forced to make something with their own hands and go and sell that, right? So it's not like they are inspired to actually grow something and go and sell it, right? They look around and say, what skills do I have? What can I do with my own hands that I can sell, that can give me money to be able to do the stuff that I need to do, right? Take care of my family and so forth. So those people don't have a choice. Now, let's look at what is happening in South Africa, where there's quite a lot of industries. There's quite a lot of, it's a well-diverse economy. The financial services is booming. There's a lot and lots of industries where people can find employment. But what we have seen over the last few years is the fact that, people who are actually having a job, like your professionals, doctors, engineers, accountants, a lot of them have realized something that they never foresaw whilst they were studying. And that is, the cost of living has risen far higher than what the income has been able to do. Right? If you look at over the last 30, 40 years, and this is a global phenomenon. If you can go to America, you'll find that it's actually the same scenario. I remember when we were in New York, this lady who was driving an Uber fetched us at the airport, took us to the hotel, and having conversation with her about, what's happening in America and so forth, we were shocked to find that this lady is actually a professional. She has a full-time day job, but then apart from that, she then has this gig where she's driving her own car as an Uber, right? So that she can earn a little bit of extra money. It's common in first world countries for people to have 2 or 3 jobs. Why? Because one job simply doesn't cut it in terms of, the cost of living and what people are able to earn. So that is why people are getting into 2 jobs, 3 jobs, or having this or that other side hustle. Now in South Africa, that is exactly where we are right now. I was looking at an article that says over 200,000 people in the tech industry have been fired over the last, 2 years or so. Over 200,000 people. Now, can you imagine if you were part of the 200,000 people, right? You have your degree as a software engineer, right? Or whatever the case is, but you're in the tech industry. And you had this job that is high paying, but now all of a sudden you don't have a job. The question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait around and wait for the economy to recover and for companies to start hiring again? Or are you going to find something to do with yourself, with your skills and your time so that you can earn an income? So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that we're in a situation whereby even professionals understand that the amount of income that they're earning, even those who are still in a job, right? They find themselves in a situation where, yes, they've got a good job. Yes, probably they love their job. There's few people out there who love their jobs. They love their jobs, but then the income doesn't really allow them to live life according to their own terms, doesn't really allow them to, live to their full potential, to experience life the way they would rather experience life than settle for what their income basically allows them to do. I'll give an example. There's so many different people who are professionals who are working, and they would rather take their kids to that particular school, but then their salary doesn't allow them to take their kids to that particular school. You'll find that some would actually love to live in a certain neighborhood, right? That has got certain amenities and so forth, but then they can't afford to really stay in that neighborhood. Some of them would rather actually drive a particular car or have a fleet of particular cars, but they cannot afford to do that. Why? Because their current source of income doesn't allow them to do that, right? So if you look at those people, those who are unemployed, who are skilled, those who are employed, who are skilled, but then the income is not enough for them to live life according to their own terms. And then you have people who, can't really find a job. All those people, in my view, should be entrepreneurial, should look at at being an entrepreneur as a way for them to earn an income. And when I say entrepreneur, a lot of people think, as I said, of these high and mighty ideas. You must have something that's innovative and so forth. Guys, you can be an entrepreneur by simply, buying this item from a particular person, on selling it to another person at a profit. It's very, very, very simple. There's different ways people get into entrepreneurship these days. You can start your own brand. That's going to take you time. I was looking at, a post by DJ Swoo talking about the Mofire drink. The fact that it's now 9 years old, right? And it's only now that it's gaining traction in terms of distribution. Now Macro is now stocking, that particular beverage. But there's still other shops that are not stocking that particular beverage, right? Because starting your own traditional business costs you money and it takes you time. It takes time to build a brand and for people to really trust and believe in your brand. And then if you look at the second way, I've been a franchisee, right? You can be a franchisee. But the problem with being a franchisee is that, one, you also need a lot of money to actually get started. And secondly, you cannot do it part-time. So in other words, you have to risk everything for you to become a franchisee. So if you have a job and you love the job, you just want to earn an additional income, then being a franchisee is not really the best bet, because most franchisors will not allow you to buy their franchise if you're going to hire someone to run your franchise. They want owner-run franchises. Why? Because they know that there's a higher chance of success if it's owner-run, because you've got skin in the game, right? So that's another reason why it might not necessarily be the best thing for an ordinary person to get into franchising, especially if they want to risk it, if they don't want to risk everything that they currently have going right now, in order to get into business, right? So, and then the last option, which in my view, maybe not necessarily the last option, but there's something called the 21st century business model. It's not just one business, right? It's different kinds of businesses that exist in today's day and age that people can basically have a look at. Now, we have a dentist that my family go to. Now, this dentist, she's got a full-time practice, but guess what? She has now created a YouTube channel where she's actually sharing information about this, how to better take care of your teeth, and so forth and so forth. And it is also catered, for the kids. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to create a secondary, form of income for her, even though she's got a full-time practice. And this is what I see happening right now in this day and age, that, that when we talk about the 21st century business model, of course, we talk about affiliate marketing, network marketing, but there's many other ways, right? You can be a content creator. You can be a blogger. There's so many different things. In fact, we are going to be doing a video talking about the top 5 ways people can get into entrepreneurship, basically online. And, so I'm looking forward to that, because what we really are trying to do here at the 21st Century Business Podcast is to expose people into all these different ways of earning an income, which they might not necessarily be aware, or maybe they are aware, but they just don't know how to get into those, right? And we want to expose you into such, give you literally the know-how, how to get started, so that you can then get into those spaces and be able to generate an income. Because, as the Bible says that money is a defense. I think in whatever we are encountering in today's day and age, if we do have money, we come out the other end much better than those who don't have money. So Les Brown, I like the way he puts it. He says money, when it comes to the order of importance of things, he says, right up there is oxygen, but right next to oxygen is what? Money. And I think even the COVID pandemic actually showed us that some people actually, you can buy oxygen, something that I never knew up until the pandemic. So to wrap this up, family, my assertion is that we can all be entrepreneurs. We don't have to leave our jobs and go and start a full-time business. We can be entrepreneurs, part-time, because there's so many different ways we can get into entrepreneurship part-time. So this whole idea and notion that we cannot all be entrepreneurs is actually based on a false assumption that there's actually alternatives out there. In my view, there's actually less alternatives. People are losing their jobs. We don't know how we're going to come out of this recession that we are currently on our way into, or maybe already into a recession, because normally the data is often looks, in retrospect. It looks at the last 3 months, 6 months, or something like that. But chances are we might already be in a recession or on our way into a recession, with the number of people losing their jobs and so forth. Now, the question is, are you going to wait? If you happen to lose your job, are you going to wait for the next 2-3 years? How are you going to take care of your family whilst you don't have a job? Let's all consider to be entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. If you found value in this video, please do subscribe. Do click on the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss on our next coming videos talking in this similar topic. And as you might have seen in the previous videos that we have done, we've actually been speaking to people who are in different fields, of entrepreneurship, different entrepreneurial expressions, and we're going to continue to do so that you can find value and you can change your life. Take care. God bless.